Hold on, I'm on a live bid on eBay right now. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a printer. I did my research, and in the email when booked, I watched the link for the previous shows. And Evan, when he comes up in the video, he's on his computer, and he goes, "I didn't realize everyone was going to be on their computer tonight." So that's why I brought my computer, but no one else did. Anyways, the other mistake is that I am the fiction portion of the show. And there was a big mistake in writing this fiction story, and we'll get there. So let's get it started. So this story is called My Twin Boys. I love my twin boys. I love my boys, my twin boys. They are both 8 years old, 9 feet 10 inches tall, and weigh somewhere between 360 to 370 pounds each. Being a good parent is simple. It is finding love in any situation that life presents. Situations can be lucky moments, mistakes, curses, blessings, but combined, they make life. A few years ago, a pickup truck dropped off 2 boys on my porch, my twin boys. That is how life presented the situation I would grow to love. I was living the bachelor life the day the odd cowboy in his pickup truck arrived in front of my house. The 2 front tires of the truck were at times lifted off the ground like a seesaw because the weight being carried in the bed of the truck. I could see 2 large figures sitting in the bed but couldn't exactly make out what I was looking at. I watched the cowboy get out of the truck and tell the things in the back to sit tight. Then he made his way to my porch. "Howdy," the cowboy said. "You Spencer?" "Yes, sir, I am. How can I help you?" I replied. "I sure hope you've had your coffee this morning," he said. "I'm here on an errand for a friend. Well, to be frank, I came up on the wrong end of a poker game, and now it's my duty to see this errand through." I said, "You're a long ways away from a bad poker game." "I'm not trying to be unfriendly, but what's that got to do with me?" I replied. "Look, I'll make this quick," he said. "You see those big-ass boys practically eclipsing the sun in the bed of my truck?" "I do," I said. "Who are those men?" "Those ain't men," he said. "Those are boys. Your boys, to be a matter of fact." "That can't be," I said. "I'm a virgin, except for this one time in Vegas. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas," I said. "That ain't real, son. That's just good marketing. Look, I got the paperwork and all of it from her mama. You'll probably remember the big old cocktail waitress from the Flamingo Casino." Once I heard Flamingo Casino, my mind took me back. I could feel the casino carpet under my feet, and the gambling-forced cigarette smoke began to cloud my memory. I hadn't thought of her in years, but now she stood in the forefront of my mind. You see, I'm a comedian. I was doing a weekend run of shows in Las Vegas. I was killing time on the game room floor, playing slots, when I saw her for the first time. Ruth, holding a tray of cocktails, rocking her hips around the slot machines like a lava lamp. So smooth, she could have done it with her eyes closed. Parentheses, make a better metaphor. She made her way in my direction, carrying a tray of martinis. She also carried a voluptuous temptation that could shut down a Baptist church. I love that line. You can tell 2 magnets to keep their space, but the nature of attraction will always find a way. We hit it off instantly. This is not pornographic, don't worry. We hit it off instantly. She offered me a martini, and I accepted. I would have said yes to anything on that tray. She floated across the game room floor, and we'd make eyes at one another every time those curves would peek out from a slot machine. We made eyes for a while, and before I knew it, we were making lips. With the blink of an eye, she was sitting on my lap playing the slot machine wearing my cowboy hat. My thighs are basically bone and a thin layer of skin, so her booty was crushing me. But I swallowed the discomfort because this was going to be one of those moments I look back on when I'm 150 years old and will smile. We kissed with a passion on the game room floor like an asteroid was coming for us. Eyes were on us, and eventually a tap on her shoulder from her manager broke up the affair. She told me to pick her up at 9 p.m. after her shift. I went back to my room to kill time, find my better pair of blue jeans, iron my best shirt, and lay in the heated anticipation that can only come from a hot date. At 9 p.m. on the dot, I met her outside the Flamingo Casino with flowers and a smile. She was a big girl, 7'6", with hips that could carve another Grand Canyon. I was little, 5'1", but attraction wants what attraction wants. She put me on her shoulders and we walked down the Las Vegas Strip. I was intoxicated by the city's neon flamboyance. My legs dangled over her shoulders as we walked down the strip in a perfect dance between lust and wholesome. She stopped outside of a Mexican restaurant and set me back down on the sidewalk. Ruth, I'm actually not that big on Mexican food, I said. My favorite food is American. Perfect, because I didn't bring you here for Mexican food, she said. This place has the best hot dogs in the entire world. And let this be a lesson. Life's best surprises hide behind something you'd usually walk away from. We shared a hot dog Lady and the Tramp style, and before I knew it, we were making the sweetest love in my motel room. Our drastic size difference allowed us to create new positions that wouldn't be mainstream for another 50 years. We lay in bed after, smoking a cigarette with the local news on the TV in the background. I never thought I'd be one to love Las Vegas, but as I had just learned, the unexpected is where the good stuff lies. Baby, will you walk on my back, she said. It would be my pleasure, baby, I said with a pinch of hesitation. I'd never called anyone baby before, not even a literal baby. Usually when I try to say something hip like baby, I'd feel a discomfort, like trying on a pair of cool sunglasses in a gas station before putting them back on the rack when I decide they're too cool. I climbed up on her back and began walking on it as requested. She would sigh in pleasure each time my feet produced a back crack. This made her happy. I didn't know much about her, but I knew I enjoyed making her happy. I started doing cartwheels on her back, and cracks sounded off like fireworks. I was doing the late show that night, and I was more than okay with canceling to enjoy the rest of the night with Ruth, but she wouldn't have it. I fought her on it for a bit, telling her we may never see each other again. She was confident we wouldn't. She saw the situation completely opposite to my view. She said we belonged to each other for the amount of time we had, and trying to stretch things out would spoil the magic. Spoiled or not, I would have done anything to extend our time. We got dressed and started on our own separate ways before saying goodbye. I handed her my business card and with my phone number and address on it, just in case. I watched her fade into the neon. Hey, buddy, the old cowboy said, pulling me back to reality. Hi, sorry about that, I said. All good, I know this is a lot, he said, but these are your boys, and I'm here to make sure they're taken into custody safely. Ruth didn't leave anything but this letter. The cowboy handed me a neatly folded letter. I slipped it into my jeans pocket. The cowboy led the two big boys out of the bed of the truck and walked them up to my porch. I sat in awe as I watched the boys approach me. They continued to get bigger the closer they got. They both ducked to avoid bumping their heads on the trim of my roof and sat in silence as they looked me up and down like a specimen. Daddy? One of the big boys said. Well, I guess so, I replied. 3 strangers stood on a porch and watched the cowboy drive away as a family. Life with my boys began the moment the cowboy drove away. Their towering size representing the new challenge at hand was a bit on the nose, metaphorically speaking. I was willing and ready. The neighbors' eyes filled the gaps between blinds across the entire block, and I welcomed their gaze because I would make sure only love would be present in this new household. For a while, I fought the boys on their bad habits. I was trying to dress them like gentlemen, but they only wanted to wear their Halloween superhero costumes. They refused to go to the restroom inside the house. They had dug a giant toilet hole in the backyard that was 15 feet deep and 15 feet wide. Pretty impressive, TBH. I tried to feed them as nutritious as I could, but their favorite meal was leftover condiments in fast food bags. We went back and forth for weeks trying to break these habits when I realized these aren't all that bad. If they're making the boys happy, maybe I should meet them halfway. Then we can try and make progress once we get there. ... Breaking the fourth wall. I, Spencer the writer, not Spencer in the fictional character in this story, stopped writing this story in this moment yesterday. I sat in silence because I had come to an abrupt realization that the story I was creating and writing became something I never intended. It became the exact plot to Adam Sandler's 1999 box office smash Big Daddy. I couldn't, in good judgment, continue, but I was supposed to do a live reading of this short story tomorrow, and now I had nothing. Like most creatives with a creative dilemma, I called my fellow comedian, actor, writer, Twitch streamer, and influencer, and had him meet me in the mile-long line at Maru Coffee. Anytime I'm uncertain in an idea, I go to the Maru line in Los Feliz and talk about my current project loud enough for everyone in line to hear. I do this for validation. And eventually someone in the coffee shop or in the line will turn around and tell me, whoa, that is such a cool and original idea. And I can move on with the project in peace. I did exactly this but no one was interested. In fact, the entire line and coffee shop was quite annoyed. The barista asked what we would like, and my friend left right before ordering, saying, "The vibe's not right." The barista looked at me and asked what I wanted. I told her, "Sorry, I might need a minute. You see, I have a live reading tomorrow, and I feel the original piece I was writing has already been done. Does that ever happen to you, LOL?" She didn't even acknowledge the fact that I had a reading coming up. So I just ordered my usual, a vanilla pumpkin spice matcha latte with almond, oat, and whole milk with fudge and a little bit of Dr. Pepper. I slowly walked back to my $2.5 million single-family home in Los Feliz, contemplating if I had enough talent to call myself an actual writer. Once I arrived at my house, I sat on my couch and began to transcendental meditate for the 5th time that day. I fell asleep straight through the night, and I woke up on the day of the show. For inspiration, I read Infinite Jest in its entirety at the breakfast table. While I finished my Erewhon breakfast, I DoorDashed for $345. No tip. The breakfast fulfilled me for a moment, but eventually I was left with the same feeling of panic. What would I read tonight? It was 6 p.m., and I was getting ready for the show. I still sat in my angst. My longtime vintage shop owner / influencer girlfriend saw the worry on my face as I applied my makeup foundation. She wrapped her arms around me as I sat at my vanity, and she said, "Baby, be you, and they won't be able to do anything but love you, just like me." Then she kissed me right on the lips, just like in the movies. She is real and so hot. Like, every time we're at the Rose Bowl Flea looking for vintage clothes, people are always like, "Good for you, dog." This calmed me for a moment, and before I knew it, I was driving to the show. I decided I was going to be honest and read exactly how this essay came to life. I did. I read. It is now 8:43. I am reading the last line of this essay that I wrote, and I feel pretty good about it all. Thank you, guys.